Jaguars.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another edition of Titans Global Podcast. I'm your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and if you'll notice, as always, with me is my good buddy Link, who is not here, and also Mike Patton is not here. Both of them actually had family emergencies. So our hearts and prayers are actually out with them right now. Hope everything is going well with them. And we're going to keep going with the show. As far as tonight goes, I was going to do a little bit deeper dive into the rookies. I didn't get quite to go as deep as I wanted to because, believe it or not, my grandmother was actually in the hospital just this morning. But she's fine. I mean, she's gonna be fine, it looks like. So here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about the wide receivers and the defensive backs. I'm also going to do a little show and tell, little extra show and tell since Link's not here. And then I'll just start taking questions or comments from the fans, and we'll talk throughout the show if you want. So feel free to get on there and comment. If you are watching me right now, we do like you to go to YouTube channel, like and subscribe. That is the best place for us to watch us if you actually want to help us with the show and carry on. So here we go. All right. To start off, obviously, for me, it's kind of a duh. I want offensive tackles. So first round pick for me is always going to be an offensive tackle or trade down for extra picks. So I don't really, when I look at the wide receivers and defensive backs, I'm not really looking for a first round draft pick. I'm looking for maybe somebody that'll fall out of the first round, and then pretty much just second round picks after that. Two maybe. Anyway, first pick, if anybody's been watching the show for any amount of time, they already know my obsession with Troy Franklin from Oregon. Really long kid, got great size, great speed, and he is exceptionally smooth, really good route running skills. One of the best wide receivers in the draft, if you ask me. I think he's going to rival, I don't know if he'll rival Marvin Harrison Jr. He seems like a generational talent. But I think, Neighbors or Odunze, I think he's going to match their numbers at the next level. I could be wrong on that, but, only time really will tell. The next wide receiver I would look at would be Devontae Walker. I know I skipped a couple there, but that's just because I'm looking for a certain set of skills. And that is to stretch the field and make it easier for DeAndre Hopkins in the middle of the field or our slot receiver, which, is unknown at this moment, if Phillips is going to come back or if Treylon Burks can step up and play the slot position. Man, it hurts my heart to talk about a first-round draft pick that might be able to play the slot. Anyway, in my opinion, he is the deep threat number one pick outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. And he's not really he is a deep threat, but that's not what he's known for. He's known for basically doing everything well. So, but I think Devontae Walker from North Carolina is going to be a great prospect. He's still a little raw, as far as his route running skills go, but really great deep threat, deep ball catcher, and he looked the part. I think he played Georgia and Oklahoma. There was one more good team that they played this year, and he didn't look like he didn't belong in those games. As a matter of fact, he might have been one of the top 3 players on the field in every single one of those games. So Devontae Walker, even though his numbers don't jump off the board, I think is a great start. If that doesn't go, if the first 2 are gone, which, my God, it must be a hungry wide receiver board if those 2 are gone. But if they are, my other pick would be Xavier Leggett. He had really good college numbers, didn't do so great in the Senior Bowl or in the practices, so that's kind of worrisome. But, man, he's 6'3", 225 pounds, and he's one of the best at the catch point, which, like I said, I'm looking for somebody to stretch the field, but hey, somebody that can catch the ball, plus he's really tough to bring down. Kind of reminds me of a receiver we used to have. I'm not going to name him, but he's hard to tackle, and that's what Leggett does really well, is he gets yards after the carry or yards after the catch. And South Carolina, good kid, I think. But the practices is a little worrisome. Of course, if he goes in and just kills the combine, I'm sure his numbers are going to go up, which I expect him to. I think he's in the 4.4 range or 4.5 range, which is fast. It's not super fast, but it's still pretty darn fast. Moving on. We're going to talk about defensive backs, because honestly, if those 3 wide receivers are gone, then I'm not interested in wide receivers anymore. I'm looking at defensive backs now. We'll go wide receiver in a later round. I know y'all hate hearing me say that. I don't want to do that. But, Chisholm, you must just be joining the show. I just got done talking about Devontae. I love him. Best deep threat in the draft, other than, Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously. Neighbors is pretty good, but I honestly think Devontae Walker is going to do great at the next level, even though his numbers don't jump off the board. I think he is one of the best deep threats in the game. Good deep ball catcher, and he's still a little raw, route running wise. Still needs a little bit of polishing, especially at the next level, but I think he will do well. Probably a sophomore year breakout season kind of guy, but I still think he gives you 600-700 yards this season in the NFL, which is, not bad for a first round draft pick. Second round draft pick. Be number 38 though. It's not like we're way out of the first round or anything. So our second round is still a pretty high pick. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yes, I do agree with you that I think he has probably the highest ceiling out of, I don't know. I really like Troy Franklin. That's a toughie. I really like Troy Franklin, but I do think that Devontae Walker probably, if he really gets great at route running and starts like breaking people's ankles in the NFL, oh my gosh, that kid's going to be unstoppable. So we're moving on to defensive backs now. So all those wide receivers are gone. Now I'm going defensive back. First one I'm looking at, if all those wide receivers are gone, then I'm sure this defensive back is going to still be on the board. Otherwise, he's not, and I'm going wide receiver. So Nate Wiggins from Clemson. I had to mention him. I know he's not going to be there, but I had to mention him. Nate Wiggins, man, this dude does everything well. He's great at man coverage. He's great at press coverage. He can come up and hit the perimeter well. He's good in run discipline. I mean, his quarterback rating when targeted last year was 44.4. That's ridiculous. Dude, I would love to get Mr. Wiggins on this team, but I don't think he's there. So, what do I think is realistic? Kamari Lassiter from Georgia. And maybe I'm a little biased on that because I'm kind of a Georgia fan. Not kind of, I am a Georgia fan. But, man, he is fast, so he could play the deep ball. But like I said about Wiggins, he has great perimeter awareness. That's like, he can hit that quick pass to the outside. He's not going to let that guy get more than maybe 2 yards. Screen pass, he's going to go and probably get a tackle for loss. I mean, the kid he's got great instincts and he's quick to the ball. And that's exactly what you want in an outside corner, especially when you got, threat of the screen or, it's just very good in my opinion. So either one of those guys, I'd be really happy with, but to be honest with you, that's it. That's all I got for college players. I don't really look into this stuff too much, especially before the combine, because everything changes once the combine hits. And then once free agency hits, that really changes everything. Because, let's say we go out. I know this is a stretch, but let's just say we go out and get Jalen Johnson and Snead. Well, we're not looking at defensive backs anymore. Move on from that. If we get, T. Higgins and I don't know, what's the kid from Indiana? Not Pittman, but the next one, Zach Pascal. No, I don't think that's his name. Anyway, that kid. Say you get those two in the free agency. Now you're not looking at him in the second round. Now you're looking more in the third and fourth round. You're definitely going to go defensive back or linebacker in the second round. So it changes everything. It really does. So it's kind of a moot point at this stage to talk about. But what else is there really to talk about other than young kids playing football, which is what we want to talk about. Plus, really, it's dream scenarios, and that's kind of what I like to do with the Titans. I like to think about, well, what if this happened, or what if that happened? Instead of doing that, I think about, well, what if this happens, and then we do this, or what if this happens and we do that? I don't know. Plus, it's really hard to tell because we have a whole new front office. Last year, even though we had Rand Carthon making the final decisions on personnel, I don't think that he had any control over what the coaching staff did or what he really wanted as far as the front office, strength and conditioning, all that stuff. I think Rand would have come in and cleaned house just like he did this year if it would have been his decision in the first place. But he comes in, he gets Callahan. Now Callahan brings his dad and brings Wilson and a pretty good coaching staff, in my opinion, and a young one too. So that's really awesome. I enjoy the youth in the football just because it brings new life. They're gonna change pretty much everything, it looks like. So I don't really know what the future holds for the Titans as far as draft picks and what their scheme is going to look like or anything like that. I can't predict that to you right now. It's just like when Vrabel got head coach, I was saying the same thing. Well, I'm not really sure what he's going to do. I can guess, but I don't know. I'm guessing that Callahan's offense is going to look a lot like Cincinnati's, but it might not. It might look not completely different, but it might look a bit different from Cincinnati. He might take a different approach because he wasn't making the final call on the play. He was just, giving him a couple plays to go over or whatever. I don't know how the process goes, but you know what I'm saying. And I'm going to move on from that because that seems like a dull subject. So, Titan show and tell. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do. Not because I like showing off my stuff. It's just because I like talking about the different experiences I've had as a Titans fan. That is one of the greatest things to me as a Titans fan, is to share my experiences as a Titans fan. So again, I'm going to talk about the caravan, the Titans caravan, and open practices. I really hope that they have gotten away from this closed practice thing with Brian Callahan and the new coaching staff, because the whole, I mean, it's just archaic. Most teams don't do that. I think the Chiefs had every single practice open to the public in the preseason, which is frustrating because we don't even, I mean, I think last year they did a raffle with the season ticket holders to see the preseason games or the practices before training camp, which is just ridiculous. I used to go up there every year, at least a couple days, and this is the result of that. I mean, it's just insane. It really is. There's Brett Kern. That was the first time I got a signature. There's some pretty good ones on here. Antonio Johnson, defensive tackle. Really liked him. Let's see here. There's Taywan Taylor. You can't really see it that well because of the where he signed it on the black part. I didn't really have a good. There's somebody's signature. I can't even see that. I don't even know what that says. But this is what happens when you go to training camp. They used to literally assign like 6 players every day to come and sign things for fans. And you got to interact with them. You got to talk with them. And usually, no, they weren't huge stars. They'd usually give you 1 or 2, semi-decent stars, and then you would get the others. I'm going to share one last hat. And it's just because I started doing what I did with my other 2 hats, which was just sign it until I can't find any more room on it to get any more signatures. And I stopped because I got one of the signatures I thought was the ultimate, and I didn't want to get any more signatures on it because I didn't want to, not defile the hat, but I just didn't want to keep getting signatures. Again, second time I got Brett Kern's signature. This was during a game, by the way. Every single signature on this hat came from a game. And I got there really early, and I stayed late and got all these signatures in one game. And they still do that, at least. I give the players credit where they actually do that. There's a couple good signatures on this one. There's Harper. But the one that just made me stop wanting to get signatures is right there. And I don't know if you guys know, but that's Delaney Walker's signature. And he was one of my favorite Titans. Always has been, always will be. Yes, see, this is what I'm talking about. Thank you, Corinne. Hope I'm saying that right. Yes, I wish the Titans would bring the caravan back. It gave chance to us guys or gals I live in East Tennessee. So I don't really get to go to a lot of Titans games. Definitely can't go to practices because I'm not a season ticket holder. So, when I go to a game, I make a whole day of it. And I get there super early as soon as they open the gates. I try to get the best seats I can in the lower levels so that I can do things like that. And that's the only way now to get any interaction with the players. But back when they had the caravan, and for you people who don't know what the Titans caravan is, basically they would take like 2 rookies and 2 pros or veterans, and then they would put them on a bus and they would ship them around for a day in a different area, and then they would switch them up and do another area, and then they would switch them up and do another area. And they would do this all across Tennessee. So they'd get all the way out to Memphis, all the way up to like the Tri-County area in Tennessee, and they would cover pretty much all of Tennessee. And they would go to places that sponsored them, like Academy Sports Outdoors. That's where they went when they come close to me. But they also go to other stores and stuff like that, like Dick's Sporting and all that. Anybody who sponsors the Titans or whatever, or is a partner with the Titans, they were in their stores. And I just don't see how it wasn't a good thing for everybody, because the Titans got exposure. The stores got more exposure because people would be lined up out the doors, man. And you weren't guaranteed a signature. You weren't even guaranteed how long they were going to be there. You just showed up and hoped that you were in line close enough to get to shake a hand and talk for a second with one of the Titans players. And also, one of my coolest meets of all time was Mike Keith. I've been begging him to come on my show for Twitter now forever, but I actually met him at a Titans caravan. It was a really cool experience. I actually got his signature too. But that's what I'm saying, man. Titans caravan was just so amazing. It absolutely was. And yeah, you're right. I do love Mike Keith, and I wish he would come on my show. But that's okay. We'll keep asking. And yes, you are correct. COVID messed it up. That's why it's not here anymore. And it's sad. It really is. But that's really what it is. So that's really all the content I got for you guys tonight. Like I said, I'm sorry I didn't get to do more research or anything like that. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can hit me up in the next few minutes and I'll stop and try to answer them or react to them in whatever way I can or do. But if you don't know by now, you should be ashamed of yourself. But go follow us over at, anywhere. Titans Global Podcast. We're on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, pretty much everywhere you get your podcasts. Also, we're on Spotify and Amazon and a couple other of those just voice podcasts. If you want to follow me personally, it's Maximus Titan Fan. I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Come hit us up. I enjoy the reactions. I enjoy the interactions. I apologize that the guys aren't here tonight. I really wanted them to be. But until next week, tighten up. Peace out.